So what's up, guys? Osai back here, and I'll talk about Tuesday. And today's topic we're going to talk about, guys, is basically how to worry less. Okay. With everything that's been going on, of course, you guys, if you've been paying attention to the news, sometimes overly too much to the news, in my humble opinion. But yeah, there's a lot to worry about, or there's a few things to worry about. But I think actually we're making a big deal about a lot of things that really, to be honest with you guys, it's life. And that's just the way it goes. So to get into it, I'm going to talk about 4 topics and stay till the end because all 4 topics are important. And this was from a book, and I had to go back and refresh my memory with it because it was by Dale Carnegie. And basically, the book is simple. How to stop worrying and start living your life. So a lot of us do have a worry issue. We get too deep in the weeds sometime, and I think nowadays, like I said before, it's a little too easy to get into that because of social media, what we have going on. Not just social media, but the news has become a thing of, instead of reporting on facts, they like to report on things that are going to get them views, or so they can charge more in advertising or whatever it is. So it's all about the worst of the worst. They take the extremes. You have the polarizing opposites and the polarizing ends of topics and arguments, and never like the middle, which is where I think most people live and most people hang out in. So let's just talk about people, basically us, and what we do on an everyday basis, and some of the things that we can do to combat it. And like I said, the book that I read was Dale Carnegie's How to Stop Worrying and Start Living Your Life, basically. I read it. This is my second time going through it. I read it one time like a few years before, and just put it down about 2 months ago. So it's funny, I got into this before this actual thing happened. Anyway, one of the first things to do, guys, is clearly define what's worrying. So, or basically clearly define what's the worst that can happen. Usually when we're worrying about something, we're thinking about the worst thing that can happen, or something that's terrible. For example, I would use myself to say, like, starting this vlog that we do, and the worst thing that can happen. Before I actually started, it's like, all right, what's the worst that can happen? In my mind, it was like the end of the world, like, totally World War III. Like, I was going to make a video, it was going to be terrible, people were going to hate it. Not only were we going to hate it, like, maybe we were going to get attacked from like Cuba or something because people hated it, and then aliens are going to come and destroy the world because of that. So going to the ends of the extremes, that's kind of like where your mind goes. But in actuality, the worst thing that can happen is that I get a bad comment, bad review, or nobody looks at it. And if nobody looks at it, there's nobody to make a bad comment or review on this. So cool with me. But once I get out of my head and start thinking, like, writing it down and saying, like, okay, what is absolutely the worst thing that can really happen to this? What is the actuality? And clearly defining it, writing it down for me worked well. And I think it works better because when you write it down and clearly define it, you don't leave room for your mind to fill in the blanks with the absolute worst thing, which is what it tends to do. Our brain or our thought patterns are designed to protect us and to hold back, or, when we're out there hunter-gatherers, if something bad happened near a tree, like, we got chased by a lion at that tree, we're never going to go towards that tree or any tree that looks like it again because it was a survival mechanism. Well, now we don't have that issue, so I think our worry and our fear mechanism happens in overdrive. So, we have to kind of like pull back from that edge a lot, and by writing it down, clearly defining what those things are really one of the biggest steps towards defining what is really going to happen. And once you do that, I think a good second step is to just really think about how absurd it is. Like, if you're just thinking about it, and this is why I had to get into writing it, because once I started writing it down, I started thinking about how absurd my thought patterns really are, how it was, clearly out of this world where it was going, literally for me. But for some people, you could, just touch on it a little bit, and you can see like how overblown and blown out of proportion it really is. Your family's not going to leave you, the planet's not going to blow up, we're not going to cause another plague by you doing or not doing something. Another thing to do, sorry, jumping back to one, just not clearly defining my thoughts there, but another thing that helped me too was not only writing down what's the worst thing that could happen, I also started to write down what would what would happen if I didn't take these actions, take these steps, or, combat this worry that I have. Like, if I let this worry, this concern, totally motivate me, or, totally motivate my life and cause me not to do something, what is going to be the things that happen, and like I said, the absurdity of it, I know one of the things for me when I first got into fighting was if I lost, and it was just like, wow, what happens if I lose a fight? And that held me back a lot. I mean, that was sort of a sense of motivation, because nobody ever wants to lose a fight because it hurts. But beyond that, I thought about it more than hurting. I thought, I get seriously injured, I get yada, yada, yada. Whereas, to be honest with you, the sport of fighting itself, unless you're fighting in some, backwater country or somebody's backyard, is actually pretty safe as long as it's sanctioned, you have rules, you have EMTs on staff, etc., etc., etc. There's usually nothing bad, or for the most part, nothing bad that's going to happen. And the idea that it could happen is a very, very rare possibility. You actually have a bigger, or you can get hurt a lot faster in a lot of other sports that I played, which I had no fear about, was like football and basketball and even soccer I got a concussion from, and snowboarding I remember getting a concussion from that. But as far as it goes in the ring, I've never had a concussion. Actually, I think putting in the work and training for me was the hardest part of it. Once I got into the ring to fight, it was a lot, more fun. Even the ones that I did lose, it hurt a little bit, but it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be. So going to the absurdity of the whole aspect of it, once you write down the worst things that can be, then you have to sit back and laugh at yourself a little bit, make almost you could write a whole comedic episode about your thought patterns and going through it. How absurd is it really? Number 3 we're gonna cover here. Okay. Staying busy. What is that saying? I think, what is it? Idle hands is the devil's playground, or something like that, or idle mind. And if you happen to just sit around and not do anything else, but think about this worry or think about this problem, you're basically creating that breeding ground for it. It's almost like that self-fulfilling loop. It's just going to keep spinning, and it's going to go faster and faster and faster and faster. So what you got to do is, get busy. And not just busy like, working or whatever, but get busy doing something either you're passionate in, get busy doing something that's going to take some thought process, doing word puzzles, Scrabble, stuff like that. If you have a hobby that you like to engage in, get into that hobby. If you don't have anything, but you can get outside, go outside in nature, go outside, whether it's rainy or hot, just go outside and observe something. Try to find something new to look at or to check out. Call up a friend that is really good at, that you guys have those long conversations with, or that, can talk about things in a sense that you're like, wow, I never thought about it like that. So get busy living life in basically what it is. So, stop sitting around, get off of the social media funnel sometimes. A lot of times, especially if it's about our looks or about the worst that can happen, you look it up on YouTube and you start that funnel. If you just let that autoplay happen, I guess they changed the algorithm by now. Hopefully they did, but you can have that self-fulfilling loop that just keeps deeper and deeper and deeper. Or if it's something about your look, you look up a fit person or something and figure out I don't look like that, but you keep going through the next person that looks fit, and next person. You're just that self-fulfilling prophecy. And to be honest with you, most of those people have been Photoshop, airbrushed, don't really look like that, don't really eat like that, just really have good genetics. There's a plethora of things, so it's why people, just talking about the looks category. But yeah, guys, if you, get up, get busy, get out there, get active, get after it, especially if it has something to do with what you're worried about. If you are worried about your looks, then get active. Just get out there and walk. You don't have to run yet, just walk, something just that simple to break that cycle, and that's what you're always looking for, is to break that cycle. Or in fighting, martial arts, of course, we like to say breaking your opponent's pattern. If your opponent's pattern is jab, jab, cross, then the best time for you to attack is after that jab, jab, counter that cross, or counter after that second jab, and don't wait for that cross. That cross is coming, that's going to hit you a little harder. So if you can, if they throw the same combo over and over again, you start timing it, figure it out, break that pattern. Okay. And the last thing, it's easier said than done, but the practice of gratitude. And not just, gratitude, but like really appreciate what it is that you have. Think about it. And I know people say all the time, it could be worse. And yes, it really could be worse. And sometimes, people don't want to hear it, or it seems too easy, but it is. The fact is that, for the most part, the fact that you're alive, that you're breathing, and you are who you are as a person, that's a miracle in itself. I mean, the idea of, how hard it is to get, for some people to get pregnant, for that one sperm to impregnate that egg that created the embryo that created you. You could have been born, or you could not have been born. You could have come out with some sort of defect, deformity, The idea is that really going back to the essence of it, there's so many other things that you can worry about. Hate spam calls, by the way. So many other things that you could be worried about, and you just really have to sit back and think about, you already have everything. If you have, and I'm taking it, everybody should have, a friend, a person to talk to. You have a life. You have people that care about you. You have, or even if it's just one person, where it may not seem like it, but you have coworkers that you work with. You have, people that who check up on you every once in a while. It may not be like the time that you want it to be, but there's people who obviously care about you. Or sometimes just walking down the street, the fact that somebody says good morning or hello to you, or bumps into you and says, I'm sorry, or apologize. There's a lot of things that we can be grateful for in this life. And when times we take in this big picture and we oversee this doom and gloom type factor, but when you bring it down to the essence of it, these small things, these small pinpoints of light in the darkness, is where you can focus your attention on and really start to see that there is a positive aspect to what you have into life, and to bring it back to the beginning and start seeing there's really nothing to worry about. The darkness is always there. There's things that happen in the darkness. There's things that you love about the darkness. You just haven't dug deep enough to find it yet. So go looking for it and find those things, or the aspects of it that make you you, and that make you smile, and that make you there. Because if not, like I said, the mind is that place where if we don't fill it with things, it's going to keep creating that factor of the doom, the gloom, the worst case scenario, and things that are always going to go wrong, or the woe is me type factor. One thing I say, it's every morning when you get up and you can look at yourself in a mirror, if you do have a mirror, or you can just get up in the morning. That is the first thing to be grateful for. And you start off with that and say, thankfully I was able to wake up again today. And that's the first thing. Start saying thank you from that point, and you'll see that there's very, very little things in this world to actually worry about. So back to today's modern society, what we have going on with this illness that's going around, and people wanting to pull back and retreat or hold back on themselves. To be honest, guys, if you look at the facts of what this virus really is and what it's saying, get off the social media and get off the news cycle about it, but look up the actual facts and what some of the best medical minds in the world are saying about it, and how, for the most part, for most of us, it's really not going to affect us very much. If we believe in the hype, then, it's going to affect us a whole lot because we're allowing it to, as a society, as a culture. But for you as an individual, if you do your homework, check things out, like I said, get off of the social media, get off of the news cycle that's every 30 minutes it's the next thing is, one more person got sick with the coronavirus. Oh my God. Most of us get a cold from it. Most of us get a sore throat or something like that. At that point, yeah, we should quarantine ourselves, stay at home, put on a mask for the time it's going to run its cycle. But for the most part, you're not going to die from it unless you do have an impending immune disease or something that's lowering your immune system or anything towards that. Anyway, that's from the facts that I hear. Do your own research on it, check it out. But like I said, if you can, get off the news cycles, actually look up what medical doctors or disease control specialists have published about this, look up the actual facts in the CDC, etc. So on that note, guys, be happy. It's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be, even with everything that we have going on, like I said, it's a great day to be alive. And we could have been born 300 years ago when we had no running water toilets and you had to, make a living chasing down elk or deer or something like that. So in that sense, guys, I will see you guys on the next Talk About Tuesday. Remember, as Bobby McFerrin says, don't worry, be happy. And if you do get a chance, check out that Dale Carnegie book, especially if you guys are having trouble just coping with it right now. It is going to be very helpful in getting you back to a balanced state of mind so that you can really go out and attack and conquer this world. Okay? Have a good one, guys. Peace.